Hey guys, Jake here, and this is a video that I've wanted to make since 2020, but with the announcement of Need for Speed Unbound and it being another racing game with Toyota's absence from the car list, I figured now would be the time to strike and finally make this video. Toyota has been absent from racing games since 2017, and this has irked a lot of racing game fans. But the story around Toyota is actually quite complex, and there's been a lot of different messaging and theories that have gone around over time. In this video, I want to clarify everything that's happened to the Toyota story since 2017, clarify why Toyota is important to a lot of people in racing games, and clear up some of the rumors, misinformation, and see where Toyota actually stands in the current market of racing games. So as we all know, Toyota is a big player in the Japanese sports car industry, and the Supra might arguably be the most iconic Japanese sports car of all time. And a lot of that is, of course, due to Fast and Furious. And obviously, Fast and Furious had a lot of influence in racing games in the early 2000s. The Toyota Supra was experienced a lot in these times, so there's a lot of core memories with people who are around my age now who grew up playing a lot of these games and watching these movies. So not seeing Toyota in a racing game is just a bit of a shock. It really feels like there's something missing in a lot of cases. And that's not just because the Supra. There's also the fan favorite A86 and of course the Celica and its multiple generations. Toyota's absence especially confuses people who played these games because Toyota had a good relationship with the majority of racing games from even the late 90s all the way through 2017. But when Forza Motorsport 7 announced that there would be no Toyotas in the car list, something was clearly up. And the Toyota situation only got worse when Need for Speed Payback later announced that there would be no Toyotas in the game either. So two of 2017's big AAA racing games weren't going to have Toyota cars anymore, with no explanation provided at all. And this lack of an explanation or statement from Toyota has created a lot of theorizing. And a lot of times it's hanging on to very out of context or strange little articles or tweets. And this has happened through this Toyota saga in racing games twice now. So before I get to the potential reasons why this Toyota issue is actually happening and how it's happening, I want to clear up the misinformation first. Now everyone knows the street racing tweet, I'll get to that in a moment, but the first piece of misinformation surrounding Toyota and racing games was actually an old Kotaku article. Back in 2017-2018, a lot of people spread around this idea on the internet that Toyota didn't want their cars in racing games because racing games were becoming too realistic and could replace the actual need for a car. Minding how stupid that statement is because, you know, a car in a game isn't actually going to get you places, that comment was from 2009 and wouldn't apply to Toyota's current viewpoints. I can't see them actually making that a reason for pulling out of racing games. And the ironic thing here is that that reasoning wouldn't even apply to every racing game. Toyota at the time still stayed in Gran Turismo Sport and the Project Cars series. The two things these series have in common is that they are published by Japanese publishers. This could be Toyota having Japanese favoritism because, you know, that's where they're actually located. They are a Japanese company, so they could have favoritism toward game publishers and developers from Japan. But that doesn't explain what happened to Forza, and that's where the second part of the Toyota saga comes in. Now, for about a year already, Toyota wasn't in a lot of AAA racing games like Need for Speed Payback and Forza Motorsport 7, but since Forza Horizon had really become the big talking point of the racing genre, that was kind of ignored a little bit, and when it was confirmed that Toyota wouldn't make it into the next Forza Horizon title, that's when people started fuming. Now, there were a few Toyota vehicles in Forza Motorsport 7 and Horizon 4, mainly being the Arctic trucks, but the Arctic trucks aren't considered normal Toyota production cars, so they're managed by a completely different team, and they allowed the licensing for those cars to be in the Forza games. Regardless, people didn't really understand why Toyota was absent all of a sudden. Of course, the comment from the Kotaku article still made its rounds, and this was going on for probably still a full year, until 2019, and this is when a big shift in the whole Toyota discussion changed, for two big reasons. The first one being that Toyota was actually coming back to the Forza franchise, and the second reason being a tweet from Toyota UK. Since Toyota was now back in Forza, it seems like it should come back to the rest of the racing game genre, right? But this immediately wasn't the case, as this was around the time Need for Speed Heat was releasing as well, and the Toyota UK social media account took a shot at Need for Speed, saying that they don't want to be associated with street racing. This Toyota social media manager isn't any high up at Toyota at all, and in fact it's only from Toyota UK, not Toyota Japan. So even if this statement wasn't immediately cleared up after that it was false, and employees saying that they'd love to actually appear in more racing games, this tweet still wouldn't really take that much importance because it wasn't coming from a higher up figure at Toyota. And this tweet regarding street racing has become the biggest piece of misinformation to go around this whole Toyota saga. Because every time a Toyota car is mentioned in something to do with street racing, whether it's a commercial or a Fast and Furious movie, people always go back to that tweet, when really, it wasn't an important tweet at all. It was something stupid that a social media employee said. It has nothing to do with the higher-ups at Toyota, and it has nothing to do with the people who made a decision to pull out of non-Japanese published racing games in the first place. However, people also connected it with Forza, because Forza Horizon is known to not really be a street racing game, but more so a legal festival racing game, so it wasn't really regarded as street racing by Toyota if they were going by that tweet. But regardless, Toyota didn't return to games like Need for Speed and hasn't been introduced into the Crew, and there really aren't really any other street racing games to go around, sadly. But Toyota has returned to Forza, so why not the others? And this is where things kind of come to a stop, because there's been no official statement on Toyota as to why they came back to Forza. But I think the best case we can make is that Forza is owned by Microsoft. Therefore, if a racing game that isn't Japanese published wants Toyota in their racing game, they probably have some exorbitant licensing fee. And if this isn't the case, maybe it's games Toyota really wants to be in or not. Maybe they're really picky all of a sudden. Who knows? But the important things to know about this whole Toyota situation is that it has, 1, nothing to do with the fact of games having street racing or not, because that tweet was completely false. It has nothing to do with Toyota thinking that racing games are too realistic and will somehow replace actual cars. And the fact of the matter is that we can't really come to that great of a conclusion, because we don't know what's going on with Toyota behind closed doors. And we don't know why they decided to pull out of non-Japanese racing games by default. The only exception here is mobile racing games. Toyota appears in plenty of non-Japanese developed mobile racing games, and I don't really know the case behind this. Either they pay a crazy licensing fee, which I doubt, but I feel like Toyota doesn't really see the mobile racing games on the same level as they do console racing games, so maybe they're a bit more lenient when it comes to mobile. However, Toyota did used to be in Asphalt 8 and was removed in an update around the time Toyota decided to pull out of most racing games. The main definitive statement I think we can come to about this is not anything from Toyota themselves, but the fact that there are probably some people at Toyota who don't understand the marketing aspect of racing games. They don't realize that racing games are pretty much a free advertisement for their vehicles. And not even just a free advertisement, it's a paid advertisement. It's an advertisement for your car that people making the game have to pay you. They are paying for essentially the most advanced gigantic billboard in a video game. Because believe me, video games many times have influenced people to buy cars later on when they can. And Toyota limiting their cars to only being in Forza or Japanese games isn't really going to help them at all. You would think in a game like Need for Speed Unbound with crazy stylized effects, Ferrari wouldn't be cool with it, but clearly they have been. Has Toyota become the more stingy one? Who knows? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it could clear up some misinformation about the whole Toyota thing and kind of go through the history of this whole Toyota saga and racing games, and hopefully just get some more people to see what is actually the truth in the situation, because there's no real great definitive statement to go off of, and really just educated guesses. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.